Today, we're finally able to talk about the brand new Redmi Pad Pro. This is a tablet that provides us the best experience when it comes down to media consumption on the go. It features a headphone jack, expandable storage via micro SD card, a high quality screen, as well as quad speakers with Dolby support. Last but not least, the accessories to be able to basically use it as a portable computing experience with a pen, a keyboard, and even just a standard kickstand. This is TK, and let's go ahead and check out all the cool features of the brand new Redmi Pad Pro. Like and subscribe, and make sure you hit that bell icon so that you're always notified to whenever we have new videos on the channel. So this is what Redmi sent me. They sent me the pen. This is the brand new Redmi Smart Pen. This one works directly here. It does connect via Bluetooth directly into the tablet. The tablet itself is the Redmi Pad Pro. We're going to talk about the specifications. They also included the actual keyboard stand. So now that one actually does have a nice little connection. It is connected via Bluetooth. You probably noticed that there is no pogo pins. And it does include a little holder for the pen when you're using it with the pen, of course. And then last but not least, we also have, this is basically a carrying case with a kickstand that also does support a pen holder to be able to take with the pen with you. So the entire experience around the tablet itself for the Pad Pro is centered around connectivity, but also media consumption. So this is going to work really nice for you guys. Quick overview of some of the major specifications that we have in here is a 12.1 inch, 120 hertz refresh rate, 2.5K display. Obviously, we're running Xiaomi HyperOS. That's going to be at its core. We have the 7S Gen 2 mobile platform from Qualcomm. So that's going to be the processor running here at 10,000 milliamperes, supported with a 33-watt charger, and of course quad stereo speakers with Dolby Vision support for the display and Dolby Audio for the speakers. A lot of nice things in here. One thing I will probably mention, you probably saw this with the note at the bottom, there is no charger in the box. They're basically just a USB-C to C cable with the tablet in the main box that we get here. So here we have the tablet itself. Now, although we have two areas here in the back, basically one of those is for LED, the other one is for the sensor. We have an 8 megapixel camera sensor in here, as well as another 8 megapixel sensor positioned right behind this area in the front, be able to give us 1080p 30 frames per second for video on both front and rear facing cameras. The battery that we have here, as I mentioned to you guys, is a 10,000 milliampere battery. We do have this obviously supported wired charging with the 33-watt charger that you're able to use with the USB-C port that we have in here. We have dual speakers on each side, so basically a total of 4. We have a headphone jack, which is definitely very nice to be able to enjoy audio. So not only can you enjoy really nice loud speakers, full speakers with Dolby support, we can also enjoy headphones, as well as obviously USB-C audio in case you want to do that. So there's a lot of connectivity or a lot of functional options for us here. On the top area, you'll notice that there is a one microphone, secondary microphone, and of course the volume rocker. But one thing you probably haven't seen something like this on a tablet before, and that's the ability of using a micro SD card. So it supports micro SD card expansion on top of the fact that we have 128 gigs of internal storage. So there's no chance of you running out of storage on this. Not only can you use the internal storage, but you can also augment it with an SD card. And as you can see here, we have Dolby Vision, Dolby Audio, the secondary speakers, the two additional ones, and the power button. There is no fingerprint sensor. There's just a power button and a volume rocker. And on the bottom, pretty much a clean slate since we don't have any pogo pin connectors. It connects to the keyboard as well as the actual pen via Bluetooth, and that's going to be the best configuration. Now you'll notice right away that there's that little face here. It is actually trying to use the 8 megapixel camera that we have on the front to be able to do screen unlocking. Let's go ahead and bring my face into the picture and swipe up. Want to do it again. And as you can see there, it recognized it and it gave me access to the tablet. You're still able to use pattern. You're still able to use obviously the standard configuration if you want to be able to unlock it normally. That still happens. But then if you do register your face, it does the registration, unlocks it, and you have access to it very, very nicely and very quickly. The pen, as I mentioned to you guys, connects to the actual tablet via Bluetooth, and it is a USB-C pen, so you do need to be able to charge it using USB-C. There's an LED light there to share with you guys. There's a couple of button options in here to be able to configure the actual tablet or use it in a specific way. The top button, if I just press it and press on the display, you'll notice that we'd automatically jump into the Note tab, and that's going to be something that we can use the pen as well as the keyboard. Now, if I press the secondary button and touch the display, that gives me access to be able to do basically a screen grab. I can edit it, share it, do everything that I want, typically to what we normally see there. Otherwise, the interface runs pretty good, and the touch sensitivity is actually not bad. The Note application is very nice, and I've actually created a couple of things in here. You can see here, hopefully you can actually read this. It'll say, hello, how are you? Now, I'm definitely not going to be claiming to be Picasso in any way, shape, or form, but I went ahead and put my name there, TK. One thing to mention is we're actually able to use the configuration to switch between the different options. So if I just went ahead and move my hand, I'm actually pressing the top button on the right. I'm actually switching between the different elements or the pen elements that we have. If I press the bottom button, I'm able to switch between the most recent 3 colors that I've used in here. So all of that is actually configurable, very easy, very nice to configure it. Again, you do need to charge this separately. It does not charge in any way, and it does not magnetically sit anywhere next to the tablet. You do need to actually use that holder that comes with those cases. The first case we're going to take a look at, again, is just a kickstand case. It does include a little holder, and you can have it or you can take it off if you don't want to. I recommend you obviously just positioning it very nicely and then using the tablet, and it actually snaps on. And once it snaps on, it creates a much better kind of hold for the pen, and that becomes basically where you put it in there. Covers, and it provides protection on the entire display on the front, a raised area on the side so that it actually doesn't have any issues or damage there. And what I like about it is it actually works in multiple configurations, as I'm going to show you guys. It actually works in the standard configuration where the tablet is standing up for us a little bit more, or you can actually position it down a little bit more where it's maybe easier to write when you're using the pen to draw. So it works very, very nicely. And then when you're not using it, you can just close it and then of course put the pen in that little loop that we have at the top. And of course, over time, this will be basically the easiest way to kind of take it away with you without adding any bulk. There is no keyboard configuration. It's pretty much just touch interface and pen in case you need it. Now, the keyboard case is really, really nice. And what I'll say about this overall is it does not connect via pogo pins, as I mentioned to you guys before. For the most part, all you need to do is align to the top and then snap it in on the bottom. It does actually a nice little connection there. Of course, we still have that loop at the top to be able to put our pen. And at the end of the day, when you're ready to use it, you just basically dock it into this configuration. It holds itself, and that actually has some magnets in here configured in there. So I can go ahead and click it, swipe up, and unlock the device. It is actually connected via Bluetooth, so I'll go ahead and say it's right here. You do need to charge it, and of course, you can turn it on, turn it off in case you want to save. But once you turn it on, the keyboard is recognized automatically once paired. You'll notice right there, it says keyboard, right there, Redmi, it's done. And if I press and hold here, you can definitely see all of the different shortcuts that we have in here, from not only popping into different windows, doing different configurations as far as opening up windows, closing, going to the recents, jumping down to the notification panel, different access, and all of that is available. All you have to do if you want to remember to see this is press and hold the actual symbol icon on the bottom left side of the keyboard, and it comes up over there. And if you want to be able to launch different things, just basically follow those instructions or take a picture of those and you'll know them before really, really quick. A lot of them are very similar to Windows shortcuts, but it's definitely very nice. Keyboard itself does not have a touchpad. That's basically just the keyboard configuration. So everything in here is pretty much going to be moving everything with your finger and using it. Or of course, if you want to have a, let's say, a Bluetooth mouse, this is something that you can basically just use yourself. Pick up a Bluetooth mouse, connect it over to the system, and now you have keyboard and mouse and of course pen input all on the go. Now, what I really like about it is in case, let's say you want to use this more of a flat tablet experience, you are able to basically bring it down, turn off the keyboard, and this is something that's important here. The reason why we turn off the keyboard is because it's not connected via pin, and the actual configuration here, if you may end up having false touches. Now, as far as the operating system, what you see here, we have HyperOS 1.0.3. It is running on top of Android 14, and this is the international model. So this is the Redmi Pad Pro. We have 6 gigs of RAM. There is a variant that also goes up to 8 gigs of RAM. And storage-wise, it goes from 128 up to 256. This one is more of the base model, but all models will actually be featuring the 7S Gen 2 mobile platform, and that's going to be the processor that's running the entire experience. Now, you're able to go in there and change the configuration. Out of the box, it does come with 60 frames per second, but you're able to configure it to 90 or even have it running at 120 all the time, or you can just keep the default recommendation and it'll jump in and configure everything in there. As far as the reading mode, font settings, all the different there, and even the color scheme, this is something you're able to go in. Default is obviously vivid. You can go to saturated and even standard, and of course adaptive colors if you want to be able to turn those on. A lot of customization built in here directly. Obviously the interconnectivity here that we're also able to use. Lock screen configuration, home screen, display we were just looking at. Sound, as I mentioned to you guys, we do have Dolby Atmos, and that's going in there from sound, jumping down to sound effects. And as you can see here, it is Dolby Atmos, and of course, graphic equalizer. If we want to be able to change that out of the box, it is set to be standard or custom, and you can also go in there and change the different ones to get the experience to be at the level that you want. A lot of good functional options. As I mentioned to you guys, we do have face data, and of course, it's all stored on device. And of course, the battery that we talked about gives us the ability of using it. There's a couple of profiles running here. There's balance and battery saver, so you're able to push it a little bit longer. There is no performance mode on this one. Again, you want to keep in mind that the 7S Gen 2 is considered to be more of a mid-ranger type of a processor, and it's really mainly focused on providing you great bang performance with not so much power draw, which is what we typically see with some of the more high-end processors on tablets. Now, just for reference, I did run Geekbench 6, again, 1034 for single core, 2897 on multi-core. This is running it on the standard profile. There is no performance option, so you just want to keep that in mind. But when it comes down to what can you do with this, I think generally this is going to be more of a media consumption type of a tablet. It does have front-facing and rear-facing cameras, both 8 megapixel cameras, and both going to be maxed out at 1080p, 30 frames per second for the video resolution. You could see it sitting right there, and if I switch it over and we'll start looking up, it's the exact same thing. The processor and camera combination that we get here is pretty much going to be giving us that as a maximum. But let's go ahead and go outside real quick and do a quick sample of the front-facing and rear-facing camera on the Redmi Pad Pro. Starting off with the front-facing camera here, we have obviously 1080p 30 frames per second on both front and main camera on the back. The biggest thing I'll probably say is that this should be pretty decent enough for video calls, maybe just doing a quick FaceTime or even just recording a little audio like this as an audio sample. But I want to show you guys what the audio sounds and of course the video looks like from the front-facing camera. Let's go ahead and switch over to the main sensor on the back and see how the video improves there. Now we're using the main sensor on the back. 1080p 30 frames per second is still the maximum resolution we're able to shoot. This should be a good example of what the audio and the video sounds like from the main sensor. It's a consistent experience all across the front and on the back. And again, I think it's limited primarily by the processor that we're using. The 7S Gen 2 is actually a decent processor for general usage, but again, 4K is not going to be its fortitude or at least its main focus on this device. 1080p 30 across the sensors, 720p 30 if you'd like to as well. But let me know what you guys think of this video and the sound, of course, a little bit of wind around me on the brand new Pad Pro. As you saw there, the experience is pretty much going to be what you'd expect if you're going to be using this for video calls or if you're using it to record some type of video. We're going to take a look at some of the images from this in a little bit, but I wanted to play real quick some audio for you guys on here, and of course, we're going to be playing it at 100%. Definitely great sounding speakers. We have, again, 4 speakers available here on this. And of course, this is going to sound a lot better if you want to use, even if you want to just use the headphone jack that we have in the back here. It gives you the ability of just enjoying the entire experience there. Now, the 7S Gen 2 is not the most powerful processor on the market, but I'm going to say this right now. It's actually something that you can definitely do some gaming on, which is definitely very nice. So I went ahead and installed Call of Duty Mobile. I could go ahead and swipe it on the left. We have the game turbo, and of course, the ability of boosting performance, clearing applications, making sure we have do not disturb, voice changer, timer, screen recorder, and of course, just casting if you want to be able to do that. All of this is configurable directly within the app. And what you're looking at right now is a quick sample of me playing the game. It's not going to play this obviously at the highest resolution, not because the display can't support it, but it is also going to be somewhat limited by the 7S Gen 2. It's a great mid-ranger processor that's going to give you the ability of playing casual gaming, but at its core, it's going to be a media consumption king. The battery combination with the display and of course the overall performance that we get here with Android 14 is going to make this so that you're able to enjoy playing games, watching content on this for hours. As you saw there with the gaming experience, it's actually not bad. You're able to play this at a pretty decent frame rate and of course the ability of installing additional games. Just again, keep in mind, it's a mid-ranger processor, so you're not going to be getting, AAA type of experience if let's say like an 8 Gen 2 and 8 Gen 3. What we're seeing here essentially is a combination that's put together to give you nice long battery life, but also not break the bank when it's doing it. The tablet itself is going to be coming around a very, very affordable price because at its core, Redmi is always known for giving you way more than what you're paying for. If you're picking this up, I definitely recommend you picking up at least the pen, and if nothing else, also the case with the keyboard, because I feel like that's going to be the best accessory there. It works great to give you guys the ability of using it in a more of a kind of like a slanted experience with the keypad, but also the ability of going flat if you want to be able to just use it and start using the pen on it. It has a nice pen holder in there, and of course you do need to charge everything separately. That's about one thing that I wished would have run all out of the internal battery. But if you think about it in the long run, that means the tablet itself doesn't have to share the battery with the keyboard or with the pen. Those are independently charged, and then you're able to use that with the processor and of course that nice large display to enjoy content for an extended amount of time. We have 4 speakers, we have headphone jack, expandable storage. Again, things that we typically don't see on tablets. Expandable storage and headphone jacks are almost like a dying breed, and we get it in here for the price point that we're getting there. And at the end of the day, the 7S Gen 2 is definitely going to be able to carry us for quite some time. It's just keep in mind, for general usage, no problems at all. For gaming, I would consider this more of a light gaming, but again, just overall performance, as you saw there with the Call of Duty, there was no issues at all. It worked really nice for me, and all of the configurations that we're going to be looking at from either the 6128 or the 8256 or 512, you're going to basically get better if you're able to jump in a little bit at the 8 gigabytes. It does augment the RAM with basically the ability of using 2 gigabytes from the internal storage. So the 8 or the 6 ran more like an 8, and an 8 will probably run more like a 10. So something to keep in mind. So The images that you're looking at there, again, in good lighting, this should be pretty decent, although my personal recommendation is, don't use a tablet to take pictures, but if you have to, make sure you have enough good lighting, and this will do a decent job for you as well. 1080p 30 is going to be the maximum, but again, at the price point that it's coming in, with the features that it's coming in, again, the display, the refresh rate, the Dolby configuration, the quad speakers, the headphone jack, again, expandable storage, keyboard configuration, pen input, a lot of things to love about the Redmi Pad Pro, and I hope that you guys enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. So let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think of the Redmi Pad Pro, and would you consider picking this up? For me, this is a great travel companion or even productivity companion because it gives you all of the connectivity that you want with Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.3, and of course the ability of just running everything on device, and again, just connectivity galore. So thank you very much for the support. I'll see you in the next video.